Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I came across a story. It may not be that new of a story because some of this has been circulating for a while, but it came across my desk just looking through social media. Thought it was interesting, thought I would jump on this because it's a story about a young man. He's 14 years old. I'm probably going to mispronounce his name. Jake Schellenschlager is, I believe, how it's pronounced. And he's 14 years old. The kid's doing powerlifting, bodybuilding. I didn't see any information about his bodybuilding, but I see a picture of him bodybuilding. I want to address that later. Now, this is kind of controversial for a lot of people because they're like, wow, people that young shouldn't be lifting weights heavy, because he deadlifts apparently 300 pounds while weighing about 120 at 14 years old. And let's address some of that real quick. Some of that's addressed in the articles. I'm going to link two versions of the article down below, two different links, just so that people can get a couple different sides of the story. But the reality is a lot of people out there are like, well, I've always heard, and it's always like an old wives' tale. Who cares what someone who's been dead for 50 years said is some myth that teenagers and people at that age shouldn't lift weights or work out or train hard, that it's going to hurt them in some way. No, I mean, it's not going to hurt them unless they're being an idiot and doing stupid stuff in the gym. And while they probably shouldn't be hitting maximum weights, there's no reason they can't still train heavy if they've been trained in proper technique and form. If anything, it can help with bone development in the long term, not necessarily hurt you and stunt your growth and things like that. So that's a bunch of myths and BS. That's the kind of BS you see like old wives' tales, like the moon is made out of green cheese. I mean, that is an old wives' tale. That's the same level of logic. It's not actually true. The truth is, yes, it is still beneficial for teenagers to lift. It's just that they need a lot more supervision so that they don't get injured, because they tend to goof off more, tend to be less focused, horse around more, not set realistic standards for what they can do in the gym, and so maybe form breakdowns that can cause injuries. And yes, there are certain types of plate slippages that could happen from really bad technique or too heavy of lifting with bad form that could stunt growth in like one bone if you have the injury in it, not your whole body. And again, it doesn't really happen if technique and proper training protocols are used. So a good coach is really essential at that point. So let's just end this old wives' tale for now. What I think he's doing there with lifting is positive. My only concern is that I also saw him doing a little bit of bodybuilding, and you guys know I am not big on competitive bodybuilding, not only for the health aspects, but just the social aspects. I would never encourage anyone to compete in bodybuilding or to get obsessed with competitive bodybuilding. I have very good friends who do. In fact, I have a friend in real life, someone I know personally, is a friend of mine, who is trying to earn his pro card in the IFBB. He's NPC trying to go pro, and he's really serious about it. But the thing is that I see the sacrifices that these people make financially, socially, in terms of their health, trying to get involved in a career that's never going to pay them any real money. Less than 1% of competitive bodybuilders can even make a living at what they do. And a lot of the ones who are making a living at what they do, they would probably make better money just doing any other old regular middle class job. They would still be better off. Very few are successful at it. They're, as a demographic, they're smaller than pretty much any other industry in terms of you having the capacity to make a six-figure income or even a middle-class income for the amount of effort you put in. It's just really low. It's not worth it unless it becomes your obsession, and it will destroy your health in the long term. And for most people, it will financially bankrupt you almost and destroy your social life to try to compete at a serious level in bodybuilding. And then there are the other elements of it. I don't like the possibility of a teenage boy being thrown into that because of the sheer massive amount of homosexual prostitution that goes on in bodybuilding circles. It is, competitive bodybuilding is almost as a side business a gay prostitution ring. And again, that's how glorious the performing art is. Notice I don't say sport, I say performing art. So I don't like seeing him necessarily up on a bodybuilding stage, but as far as actual him training and trying to train hard and getting a good habit started early with that, I think that's fantastic. I think it should be encouraged. However, if he's going to power lift, because I do see the powerlifting going on, just make sure he has a really good coach, because there are inherent risks in hitting maximum weights at any age category, and particularly that young. So that's something that needs to be paid attention to. Doesn't mean he shouldn't do it, but it does need to be carefully monitored. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go. Oh, Mount Biceps.